Yes. More nerdy news. More nerd venting to be done! And we're gonna do it! DC! James Gunn! Ezra Miller? No! No! You don't say that! All right. Let's get into it. What's up, everybody? Very happy to be here with you. As always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out the stream. I am already here in Nerdventures Tower, ready to discuss more DCU information. Big report out there from, I believe, Variety. And then James Gunn came in and chimed in a little bit here, a little bit there on a few things. So we're going to talk about it. So I want to get into all the info, but I also want to make a few predictions. Bold predictions, if you will. And apparently, by the end of this month, we're supposed to get some announcements, some information about the James Gunn, Peter Safran DCU. And so I think it's a good time to think about what we're going to get, talk about what we might get, and then make some bold predictions. And then when that actually happens, when we actually get ye old, what's up with the chatbot? Why is it not? We don't do the. What the hell? Streamlabs, what are you doing? Are you drunk? Jesus. So we'll talk about all of that kind of stuff. We'll do some predictions. And we'll see how accurate I am on my predictions, hopefully later this month. I hope, honestly and frankly, that there's more information than maybe we're expecting. Like, I hope it's not just like very, very small little bits of information. I hope we get a good bit of info, and I think we will. If you sort of read between the lines between, again, what the trades are reporting and then the specific things that James Gunn is saying, you can kind of read between the lines and, I think, surmise a little bit of what's coming. But we'll get into all of that info and more. A couple other things I want to say, just for show notes purposes for you old members. The Tommy Dean. I first want to say the Tommy Dean. Tommy, if you're out there, oh, look, the chat thing's working. Tommy, if you're out there, you won the $200 GameStop gift card. So let me know. Hit me up via Discord or something like that. If you don't claim the gift card by next week, we're going to draw and give it to a different nerd venture. But if you didn't know, we give away a $200 GameStop gift card to a member of the channel each and every month. Just a sort of cool way to give back to people for supporting us each and every month. On top of that, we do a bunch of other things for members, including the first Saturday of each new month, we do a Saturday morning watch party. This Saturday morning, we are going to watch some Star Wars Rebels. We're going to watch some Star Wars Rebels episode. We're going to talk about Thrawn. We're going to talk about Ezra. We're going to talk about the Ahsoka show, because that's kind of where a lot of the hype is at right now. So we will be doing that. If you are a member, come on by the tower. 10 a.m. on Saturday. We're going to talk about some Star Wars Rebels. Now, speaking of Star Wars, I found, well, I guess Elisa found it technically. Let's just say I found it, you know. I found yesterday an incredible thing to add to my nerdy collection. Something that is truly special and phenomenal. And oh my God. Wait till you guys see it. Are you ready? 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 It's a bamboo frick, man! It's a massive bamboo frick! Come on. Let me know. Just how jealous are you? How jealous are you? How envious are you now? Because no, we're not doing this as a giveaway. I know what you're thinking. Do that as a giveaway. Give that away to a subscriber. You know? No. This is for me. This is for me, though. I might even start, like, taking this guy with me. Like, maybe we'll get a second stroller. And I'll just stroll around with Babu Frick. Like, Lisa will be, like, pushing Liam around. And I'll be pushing it around. And people will come up to us and be like, oh, that's a cute kid. And then they'll look inside mine and be like... And then, you know what I'll do? I'll have a speaker in the thing. And the speaker will have the recording from Rise of Skywalker. Where it says, it's a Babu Frick, you know? And I'll just have that play. Yeah, that's right. Hope the box gets crushed because you won't give it away. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Wait, show it again? What are you talking about? Should I take him out of the package? Is that what you're saying? Should we make this an unboxing stream? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, it's a Babu Frick. L for Babu? Second son. We've had our differences before. But don't you put that evil on my boy, Ricky Bobby. Okay. You don't even know who the frick Babu Frick is? Damn, dog. Get educated. You know what I mean? Okay. Anyway. It's a DC stream. Yeah, it is, Gabriel. Relax. Okay? We're going to get there. Speaking of getting there, I was kind of thinking, and I want to know what you guys think. I was kind of thinking we should react, because there's like a lot of news to go over, right? But I was kind of thinking, let's take the easy way out, and let's react to Paul from Heavy Spoilers video that he released earlier today. And let's react to the video and break down the news from there. What do you think? Is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Do you hate it? Is that cool? Yo, hey, Paul, you care if we watch your video? Let's react to Paul's video. Let's break the news down this way. Sud says no. Wait, why? Why? You not like? I saw his vid, made me cry. I don't know why did it make you cry? Why did it make you cry? No Star Wars, no cry, you know what I mean? All right, let's get into it. Ready? Here we go. Let's react to this video from Paul, and we'll watch, I think, a pretty good bit. He gets into some of the stuff with The Rock, which I don't know is necessarily relevant to what we're trying to talk about, but let's just get into it. It's a good vid.
Okay, so yesterday, several big reports on the DCU were released that talked about Ezra Miller's Flash, The Rock, and also some things about what's happening with Wonder Woman in the upcoming James Gunn full reboot, soft reboot, that isn't a proper reboot, but it's still a reboot. Yeah,
I mean, I'm as confused as this meme lady, to be honest with you. But I think as we're going to get into the video, I think perhaps the truth of what the reboot actually is and the truth of what they're willing to say about it are different things. And we'll get into that. But that's kind of the impression that I'm getting.
People on the internet love nothing more than someone reading a news article after them, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this very video.
I like it.
We're going to be breaking down what was said, going over what Gunn's debunked, and also our thoughts on the entire situation. If you enjoy it, please hit the thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe for update videos on the news as we get it.
Wonder Woman
Gunn
84.
and Safran will be unveiling some of their upcoming 10-year plan very shortly, and we'll be going through all of that, so make sure you don't miss out.
Make sure you don't miss out, and make sure you like and subscribe to Paul. If you're not liked and subscribed to Paul, what are you doing? Technically, you're not allowed to be here unless you are.
Talk about the Ezra Miller thing, and also give my thoughts on what I think's happening with The Flash. IGN and Variety both did some things covering it, and according to them, Sources have told Variety that Warner Brothers Discovery executives are still willing to work with Miller. According to the report,
so this was in the Variety report. Essentially, and it's just a singular line in the article, or maybe it's a paragraph, and it says something to the effect of, because Ezra's been good and not gone total GTA like before, that's important, some studio executives are open to the idea of working with Ezra in the future. Okay? That's what it says in the article, and I believe... man, I kind of want to just pull it up because there was another part in there too having to do with he's going to like therapy or something. So like they threw that in there as well. So essentially like Ezra's doing some kind of mental health treatment, which is good. I mean, frankly, like either way, however you feel about Ezra, that's good. But it says in the article that some executives are still open to working with Ezra. Now that caused a whole kerfuffle, and the other part that I'm sure Paul's going to get into in a second here is James Gunn kind of came in and said, "What's an Ezra Miller?" Like kind of was like, "I don't know what's out there about Ezra." Like, what the fuck does that mean? I don't know what's out there about Ezra. You don't read the news? Seem to be pretty on top of it. You seem to have your finger on the pulse, James. You telling me you don't know? You don't know what's out there about Ezra? Anyway.
That Miller has stayed out of trouble since they began mental health treatment last summer has reopened the door to Miller appearing as the Flash again in the future. The Flash movie, which is...
I don't know what's out there about Ezra. I mean, what a carefully crafted sentence that could mean a million different things. Say this, say what you will about Gunn. He's good with the pen. He's good with the pen.
Slated for release November 4th, 2023, and will reportedly feature a lot of DC characters as it borrows from the Flashpoint story arc from the comic and restarts everything. Is slowly growing its cast whilst also losing a few faces. Now we do know that Henry Cavill was due to cameo in this, but this was cut in the latest screening after he was kicked to the curb. Guy didn't deserve it in my opinion, and honestly, I think that's the thing that's caused the biggest uproar in the DC fandom, especially because Gunn seems to be keeping other stuff.
Oh shit, he's got his wife in there! What are you trying to say, Paul? What are you trying to say? She has a name, by the way. I mean, I don't know what it is, but she has a name, Paul. Sexist pig.
I really think the first move in the DCU should have been announcing new movies so that people could get excited, but instead we had a wave of firings which just put a black cloud over the entire thing before we even knew what was happening.
That's actually fair. So like that's actually kind of an understated point. He should like double down on this because it's a good point. There are different ways that you could have announced things that would have been, I think, a little bit better for the fans. But instead it seemed like they just wanted to be on top of controlling the narrative, but I don't know that they like understood that the narrative was they're firing a bunch of motherfuckers and shit's like collapsing. You know what I mean? I would have maybe just waited and come out and announced the dope new stuff and kept the answers kind of vague about casting actors and things of that nature. Instead, they went right for the very personal shit. Right for the very personal shit. I mean, people's attachment to Henry Cavill as Superman, like, I don't know if they underestimated it, if they just didn't give a fuck, but like, dude, that's like not a good thing to do before you've announced anything, is to like rip the toys away from the fans. You know what I mean?
It's also the fact that Miller's been a very
oh shit, he put it into the video? Yo, that's bold. Hey. Paul's got some balls for an English bloke, you know what I mean? It's just an American English thing. Don't take it personally.
Potentially getting to keep their role whilst we lose Cavill is no doubt going to annoy some people because, yeah, I'm fully on board the keep Cavill team. Now, the article then goes on to talk about the crimes that Miller's been accused of and the fact that they were charged with felony burglary out in Vermont. Miller has denied these charges, and the hearing for it will be happening on the 13th of January.
Oh my god, dude, this shit is so ridiculous. We're just gonna try to digest it. You know what I mean? We're gonna try to digest it.
Legal issues led to multiple reports, including Warner Bros. Was planning to part ways with Miller for future DC films. The company was also apparently planning multiple scenarios regarding the upcoming Flash movie, including scrapping it entirely. Then in August, Miller apologized for their recent behavior.
Yeah, so like this is actually a really important part of the story as well. Ezra wasn't remorseful, at least as far as we understand, at all. It wasn't until it was actually started to circulate behind the scenes and like in Rumorville that, Yeah, Warner Brothers is considering just completely scrapping the movie. And I think especially at the time of like, you know, they're eating $90 million Batgirl movies and just whatever, right? It's not so outside of the realm of possibilities because I've always said, and I do agree that Ezra has not made negative headline sense, and that is positive, and they've left enough room that perhaps you could see the movie not be incredibly affected by the behavior of Ezra. But I always thought that this was a situation at the time that could have been handled in a really cutthroat way from the studio where I would have literally just canceled the film, wrote it off or wrote it down, and then I would have sued Ezra for damages. Because, like, I don't even know if that's possible, right? Because I don't know how the legalese works via Hollywood, managers, contracts, and all of that stuff. But, like, as far as I'm concerned, the biggest thing that will hurt the movie is the behavior of this human being. So I would have tried to lessen the blow of not releasing the movie by trying to go after Ezra for damages.
Yeah, saying they were struggling from complex mental health issues. The apology tour continued as Miller reportedly met with WB Discovery executives to save the Flash movie.
Right.
In that
so
meeting,
that's when,
Miller
after it came out that, like, okay, they might actually cancel the movie, Ezra and Ezra's manager were like, holy fucking shit, do whatever we have to do, basically.
Their commitment to the movie, calling the Flash one of their favorite characters to play. Miller reportedly returned to set for the Flash reshoots in October, which was a sign that WB was going ahead with the film. We also know there's already a script written for Flash 2, which was reportedly put together just in case the Flash does well.
Right.
Of course, the entire future plan for DC is still up in the air, thanks to the recent creative takeover by James Gunn and Peter Safran. Wonder Woman 3 has already apparently been scrapped, along with Cavill and Johnson's departures. Cavill and Gal Gadot reportedly shot cameos for the Flash movie that have been cut. So
I think, let's try to like piece this together here. So I think as of now, the only things confirmed are that you will not be getting Wonder Woman 3, you will not be getting Cavill as Superman, and you're not going to be getting The Rock as Black Adam. I believe, unless I'm mistaken, chat, that's the only stuff that's like been hard confirmed because multiple parties, and really most importantly, you know, from the DC side and James side, and from the person's side, like Patty, The Rock, Cavill, have literally made statements about it that seem to just be corroborated or copacetic with the statements made by Gunn and DC. That's the only stuff we know 100%. There's a lot of things that we can try to surmise, but that's all we really know.
Part of Gunn and Safran's plans. And with all this, you have to bear in mind that the decision over whether to keep Miller or not boils down to Gunn and Safran.
It does. And by the way, I really hope that nobody tries to wiggle out of this, because that's another thing that's like very important to keep in mind here. If you feel very negatively towards Ezra, which not everybody does, by the way, like some of y'all like still riding with Ezra, and it blows my fucking mind, but whatever. It is ultimately James Gunn and Peter Safran's decision. If Ezra stays and you think that's egregious, that's James Gunn. Like, there's no way around that, right? So I just hope that that's kept in mind as well.
And that was scrapped. So the Flash 2 having one doesn't mean it's greenlit. Now, personally, I think whatever's happening with Ezra Miller and the Flash is going to remain a closely guarded secret until after the movie is out.
Fair.
I really doubt Warner Brothers is going to announce anything until after the movie's released, and they can see what the general feeling around it is. Makes absolutely no sense to talk about recasts until they know how it's performed, and saying Ezra is out could ruin the promotion of the film. Warner Brothers have already booked a Super Bowl.
Now, just to be clear here, let's do our due diligence. Let's nerd-venge. According to several insiders, Ezra's out and not coming back in any way, shape, or form. However, I think it's fair to say that a lot of that information was pre-Gunn and Safran. You know, and the Variety article seemed to hint that Ezra could stay around, and you sort of wonder, right? Because Gunn doesn't necessarily like shoot that down. It's really, again, I don't know what's out there about Ezra. Like, what a weird fucking thing to say, but essentially, like, just kind of being vague about it. And I believe this could be kind of, as Paul's indicating here, this could be just to preserve some box office for the Flash movie. Now, the other thing that's so weird about the Flash movie is that apparently it's like the fucking Citizen Kane of superhero movies. Like, it's fucking unbelievable. The reports are, and I'm not, trust me, like, I almost wish it wasn't this way, because if it was shit or just your average DC whatever, it'd be way easier for me to be like, no, fuck this movie and fuck Warner Brothers for trying to do this. But that's not the case. The word is, and all the sort of indications from scoopers and insiders, is that this might be one of the best comic book movies ever made. So you got to kind of keep that in mind as well. From Warner Brothers' perspective, bro, you're trying to make movies. Making movies is very difficult. You try to leverage big franchises and IP. That's the game these days. And if you feel like you've got an absolute banger, it's a very difficult decision. You know, considering, you know, what happened with Ezra. Because the thing with the Batgirl, and I know everybody like loves Leslie Grace, and she seems awesome, by the way. I mean, I don't have anything against her. But all the indications that we have is that the Batgirl movie was booty cheeks. Like, it was not good. It definitely wasn't as good as what they're claiming The Flash is. And if The Flash was as bad as booty cheeks Batgirl, it'd be gone. There'd be no reason. There'd be no, like... The reason this is weird is because the movie's apparently incredible.
Slot for the trailer, and they are clearly banking on this movie being big. It'll see both Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck playing Batman, and they clearly saw that No Way Home money, which is why they're risking a lot on it. There was a comment made recently that said The Flash was supposed to be the best DC movie since The Dark Knight, and it joins the pantheon of films that have also been called that.
That's true, actually. That's like hard to decipher because there's so much hyperbole in just fandom and shit like that. And they've literally said that almost every movie, like there are even things where there were articles about how Birds of Prey might be the best DC movie since The Dark Knight. It's like a meme at this point. But also, again, the buzz on this movie is incredible. So it's like, I don't know.
Every DC film is that. Shazam 2 is going to be the best DC film since the last DC film that was the best DC film since The Dark Knight. I could actually reply to someone asking about this, and he said, I don't know what's out there about Ezra, but our slate is 8 to 10 years.
What do you mean?
We will only be announcing some of it.
This motherfucker. Like, what do you mean? You don't know what's out there about Ezra? You can't read around the tweet thread? And do you really claim to not read anything on Twitter except specific things that you want to debunk? Like, what kind of fucking answer is this?
This month. I call BS on this because the guy really checks out rumors on his films, and he's debunked so much that I think there's no way he wouldn't have seen this stuff about Ezra Miller.
Exactly. Exactly. Thanks, dude. Like, there's no fucking way that's true.
It's been a constant news cycle for the
I don't
past
know what's
year
out
or
there.
whatever. I think he's done this because, again, Warner Brothers haven't made a decision, so they don't want to put anything out about it yet. Now, I've always said that if DC reboot, then they need to do a full reboot because the backlash over actors they've cut will end up being too much. You can't keep some, especially those as controversial as Ezra Miller, and get rid of fan favorites without it causing issues. Right. Over the last couple of years, we've seen
This is a good point that he's about to get into here because, like, there's actual empirical evidence to suggest that when you do these types of things, like taking away Johnny Depp and, you know, it just, or even a Gina Carano situation. I mean, you know, that's a less quantifiable because I still think Mando 3 will do really well. But, like, we have evidence to suggest that, like, fandoms do not like that kind of shit, bro.
Multiple actors fired from things because of allegations. And if Ezra gets charged, it's double standards to keep them. Yeah. Even Gunn himself was fired from Marvel over tweets, and to see someone keeping their job after being charged with a crime would be a PR disaster in my opinion.
I agree.
Now, Zachary Levi also released a statement about the rumors, and he said,
I have no idea what's ultimately going to happen to me. I think I'm in a pretty...
Okay, so that's actually the most honest shit that he says in the entire video. I have no idea what's going to happen to me. That's actually it.
I think we made a great movie. I think it's going to do well, reasonably well. I hope so. But again, regardless of that, if they decide at some point that, hey, this is the way we got to go, I mean, them's the breaks. That's how it goes. And I hope that people enjoyed... At whatever point I finish playing the role of Shazam, I hope people enjoyed my tenure playing the role and that they come with me to whatever else I get to go and do. That's it, okay? So I don't want to... It's hard for me to see all these random comments and like basically lies and things that people were throwing around online and not want to respond. Mm-hmm. Because I hate lies, I hate deceit, I hate injustice so much.
Injustice. I hate injustice.
And so I want to
because
set
people are
records
tweeting
straight.
shit. People are tweeting lies about the DC Injustice. By the way, Injustice is an incredible DC video game and comic book run.
He's been doing this for a long time. That's why he's so active on Twitter, because he really wants people to know what's up truly and wanting to set records straight. And so it's, you know, that's why you'll see action from me or him or other people coming to defense. It's not because we want to get tied up in some random argument with an internet troll. It's because
that's the part that really triggered me, by the way, when he used that language. You know what I mean? I was like, Jesus Christ. But anyway.
we're trying to help cut through all of this random, you know, deceitful banter that just keeps going around and around, because a lot of people who are very good, kind people who really like Shazam or these other things are getting worried, like, oh, is this all falling apart? Is this all going away? Everyone just take a breath. I know we've seen some characters, some actors that are taking an exit, and I know that's difficult. That's difficult for even me. You know what I mean? I was hoping I got to work with a lot of these folks, but it's just not the way it's going to go down right now. And I think you all need to, whoever out there is still like all drummed up and pissed off, like just trust that James is so, look, if you haven't watched what he did with Guardians, which was a total niche property that he actually brought really awesome life to, and his reboot of Suicide Squad, that was.
So like, I actually agree with this part of the statement. And this is something that I've always said about James, is that he does have talent and he does know comic books. And I think that's absolutely fair. But like, to try to conflate that with the way he's communicating and trying to break things down with fans, I mean, I just personally don't agree that those are the same thing, or that you can really conflate the two. I would say just stick with leveraging that aspect. Like, stick with leveraging what you're talking about right here and now, because even this statement, even this video by Zach is goobly glob. It doesn't mean anything, really, if you break down what he's saying.
The first one, he really made something incredible there. He understands comic books, guys. He understands world building. He understands how to do right by the canon, and also by the characters, and also by the audience. And Peter's there to be he's an incredible diplomat and business person. I've worked with him now for years. Just breathe. It's going to be okay. It's going to be better than okay.
So lots of things to take from that, but I think the main thing is that Zach doesn't know, like, at all.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's all going to depend on how his second movie does.
Yeah,
Aquaman
for sure.
2 is also
but you know what? To be honest, like, and I think that's an interesting idea, because it is possible that, like, if Shazam 2 crushes it, right? And people are just like, whoa, people fucking love this Shazam. Then, like, I would understand maybe wanting to keep Shazam around. But the problem with that is that, like, I truly feel like there's way more fan love for Henry Cavill than there is for Zachary Levi as Shazam. So I don't understand. I mean, I guess success is in dollars in the box office is more quantifiable than, you know, fan love or whatever. But it's like, are you going to judge the fan love for Henry Cavill based on Black Adam's success and like a cameo? Because, like, I don't know, man. I feel like if that movie was literally Henry Cavill Superman versus Black Adam, I feel like you've got a $800 million, maybe even $1 billion grossing movie, even if it was to the quality of Black Adam. But so, like, you know, there's Paul's saying, and I think that it's fair to point out that it's possible, considering some success of these movies next year, that some of them would be carried on through. But I also don't really buy that. I think that's just a smokescreen. I don't think Gunn is going to take anything that comes out next year and puts it into his DCU. But we'll talk more about that in a second.
I think they've not released a statement on that for the exact same reason. Jason Momoa has clearly been working on something with DC that a lot of people suspect is Lobo, but it makes no sense to release news of them being out before their movies come out. Anyway, that kind of takes us into the Variety article, which starts off by saying, as 2023 kicks off, DC bosses Gunn and Safran continue to sift through the rubble and will soon reveal their 3-year interconnected vision for the cinematic universe, which won't include Cavill's Superman or Wonder Woman at all.
Okay, so wait, let's hang on.
Won't include Cavill's Superman.
Okay, so can you just sift through the rubbles? They will soon reveal their 3-year interconnected vision for the cinematic universe, which won't include Henry Cavill's Superman or Wonder Woman at all. So again, and we'll talk about the way that James Gunn debunked this, but he said our plan is 8 to 10 years, right? But I think, again, if you consider the fact that, trade reporters are not like people that run a channel called The Den of Nerds, they're like very well fucking connected. And even the Matt Reeves Batman story that he debunked, like a lot of people said, no, there is truth to that. And like, he's not being completely honest. I think the truth is that they're probably going to announce about 3 years worth of stuff right away. And yes, they do have this 8 to 10 year plan, but they also have a 4-year contract. And so I think that the 3-year plan is probably just the first part of the 8 to 10 year plan. And judging up by the success of the, first couple of years in that 3-year chunk, they'll either continue and start to work towards, the 8 to 10 year stuff, or they'll wrap it up and we'll sell to Universal and we'll start this whole fucking thing over again, right? That's kind of the idea that I have. And as far as the Wonder Woman stuff too, and I'm sure, Paul will get into this in a second here, I believe it's very likely that there's no Wonder Woman project, that what the trades were talking about was to suggest that in this first 3-year thing, there's not a Wonder Woman project, show, movie, video game. It's possible that what Gunn is saying when he debunks this is that, no, there will be a Wonder Woman in the DCU, which is great. I'm excited about that. But I do think that the trades were probably correct that there won't be a Wonder Woman specific project in the first 3 years of this plan. That's kind of like what I'm reading
a pretty big
in between
sentence to start with. And firstly, I want to go over what this means. Now, Gunn and Safran have both been going on about their 8 to 10 year plan that all depends on the success of their universe in the initial stages. They've actually only signed a contract for what I think is the next 4 years, and depending on how well that does, they can keep going, or we'll get another reboot of the reboot.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yep.
The second part of this says that the slate won't contain Wonder Woman at all. Gunn has since come out and debunked this, with him saying on Twitter that it's not true.
So is that the one that he debunked? Okay. Hang on.
And depending on how well that does,
Paul,
they can
leave
keep
the tweets
going,
up.
We'll get another reboot of the reboot. Yay. The second part of this says that the slate won't contain Wonder Woman at all. Gunn has since...
Okay, so Wonder Woman will not appear in the first 3 years at all. So he appears to debunk that. So Wonder Woman will likely appear. I think what Variety was really saying was there won't be a Wonder Woman specific project.
It's come out and debunked this, with him saying on Twitter that it's not true. Now, people at Variety mentioned
which
Cavill,
is good.
but
like, I'm excited about that.
Godot, so
I love
whether
Wonder
that
Woman,
means he's
dude. And in
backing up,
comics,
we
dude,
just don't
Diana
know.
is a fucking
She's
badass.
one of the only actors from the original lineup that hasn't released a statement, and we still don't know whether she's in or whether she's Gal Gadot. However, Gunn's statement makes it seem like she's potentially not out, but who knows? We might get that Jennifer Holland Wonder Woman movie coming out before we know it.
Yo, I think Gal is out. But we'll talk more about predictions in a second. Let's keep going
from
on
here
this
it says,
video.
But things could have gone in an alternate direction.
True.
Behind the scenes, a different group made a play for control of DC. Not long after the Warner Brothers Discovery merger closed in April, Dwayne Johnson directly pitched CEO David Zaslav on a multi-layer plan for Black Adam and a Cavill-led Superman. The two properties would interweave, setting up a Superman vs. Black Adam showdown, sources say. Black Adam producers Hiram Garcia, who's Johnson's former brother-in-law, and Beau Flynn were also part of the brain trust looking to take DC down a new path. Other sources confirmed the meeting, but downplayed any discussion of Black Adam's future.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So, and again, like, Rock was just, and it's been so crazy. Like, I don't know, man. I really enjoy what I do. And I think one of the reasons why is, like, it seems like this big unfolding story following the nerdy news or speculation or leaks or rumors. It all feels like this kind of unfolding story. And so I remember breaking down a big trade article way back. It's got to be a couple months ago now, that had James Gunn's picture and Dwayne Johnson's picture, and literally talked about the sort of power bidding for power of DC that was happening behind the scenes. And it was really, really interesting. And now to get some more sort of peeks at what was actually going on, it just fills in that story that is unfolding. And I find it to be really interesting. So Zaslav and the frickin' Rock literally sit down and talk about Cavill-led Superman and sort of have that. Now, the source downplaying any discussions probably just means that, like, Zazzy kept him at arm's length, said it was cool, but didn't greenlight anything or confirm anything because he also knew that he was courting Peter Safran, not James Gunn, actually. According to the reports out there, by the way, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this. Have we ever talked about this? That according to the trades, nobody wanted the job to take over DC. And Safran was like one of the last picks. And Zaslav just wanted Safran. He didn't want James Gunn. But then Safran said, no, we need creative. We need somebody like James Gunn. Safran brings James Gunn in. But they're literally probably like the last, like, I'm not saying they're bad choices. What I'm saying is there were a bunch of other choices that people at Warner Brothers were way more comfortable with. But alas, here's where we're at. Let's keep going.
Although the move took place amid a power vacuum created as former DC head Walter Hamada and Warner Brothers film chief Toby Emmerich prepared to exit it, it ruffled feathers internally, sources add. Dwayne went around everyone, which didn't sit well, says one. Now, we know that it was The Rock that got the Cavill cameo, and Hamada had other plans. He wanted...
Every time I watch an interview with The Rock, I'm like half expecting him to just snap and like do a Will Smith, but like the head of the other person would probably come completely off. You know? Like, I don't know. Like, maybe it's just that I'm just this violent, insane person. But don't you guys ever just like want The Rock to just be like, well, actually, fuck you. And then bam, just take a motherfucker's head off? I don't know.
Cavill to cameo in films, and then this would eventually lead to a big return with him in Justice League 2. The studio were building towards that, but we now know it's no longer happening because things have gone in favor of Gunn's new
Is he
plan.
wearing a Warhammer shirt during that? Is that a Warhammer shirt? Is that the Imperial or Inquisitor insignia? Yo, somebody help me out here.
Things have gone in favor of Gunn's new plan. The bold strategy cotton, and whether this works or not, we don't really know. We've already covered The Rock's statement, and though he said there may be a future with Black Adam, it was very much a, we'll keep your CV on file and let you know if any other jobs pop up thing. Anyway, the article then talks about the Cavill cameo, even though Toby Emmerich was looking to recast him since 2018. It then breaks down what could have really shifted focus for Warner Brothers, with the performance of Black Adam potentially being a reason that things were shut down. It says, but Black Adam, which bowed October 21st, fizzled with a $391 million worldwide haul against a $195 budget, plus $40 million in reshoots. This scuttled any plans for more...
Hey, why didn't y'all go see Black Adam, man? I told you shit was dope. You know? Things could have been different. Okay? We could have had punchy Rock versus Superman. I want a full-ass explanation on why you didn't go see Black Adam. Sheesh. You guys really let me down on that one.
Outings with the lightning bolt wielding anti-hero and officially ending the
you see it
Cavill
3
Superman
times?
era.
Nice.
Cavill parted ways with his manager, Johnson's ex-wife Danny Garcia, this year, but a source says it was unrelated to the DC drama and she remains a strategic advisor to the actor. Meanwhile, the Johnson-Warner's relationship already was wearing thin after Johnson pushed for producing credit on the animated film DC League of Super Pets. This opened in July, but he did little to promote it. The actor also insisted on a tequila bar at the New York premiere of Black Adam, featuring his Terramana brand despite the film being PG-13. Now that last sentence killed me a bit. And hey, which 13-year-old wasn't out here drinking tequila? Get the audience as drunk as possible, and they might...
Fuck yeah, they probably love it. To be honest, a good couple tequilas, Black Adam's Oscar-worthy, dog. You know, talk about like the beer goggle effect, dude. I'd love to watch fucking Rock smash a bunch of bad guys after a couple of tequilas. And I've heard that shit's good.
Movie. I'm just kidding. I thought Black Adam was fine. It was fine. It didn't do anything new, but it was fine. Now, the article then says...
Good enough, Paul.
His demands increased and the returns just weren't there, notes another insider. Still, box office analyst Paul Durabiadin says... Johnson found himself in a catch-22 with Black Adam.
That is a tough one. I wouldn't even try.
You can't have a more modest budget when this level of talent is involved. Budgets are commensurate with talent involved. Something with a lower budget like Shazam is dubbed a hit because hits are based more on profitability.
True.
Shazam earned $366 million worldwide in 2019 off a $100 million budget. Dugarbadine notes that Black Adam still managed to crack the box office top 10 for 2022.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, that's the main point of the article, and I really think the best thing for going to do is do a full reset, and that will at least quell some of the fandom that are going to be mad that their favourites weren't picked. It will be Gunn playing favourites himself if he chooses some things to keep and not others, and it could end up being an even bigger mess if some things are wiped and some things aren't. They're doing this because they see some parts of the DCU as a failure, but every project is connected in some ways. For example, Peacemaker is connected to Suicide Squad, and Suicide Squad is Holly, Rick Flag, Captain Boomerang, and Waller, who all appeared in the previous Suicide Squad.
Yo, quick question for the chat. Who has a more convoluted continuity? The Fox X-Men movies or the current DCEU? Which one do you think actually has the worst continuity? Because the Fox X-Men continuity makes zero fucking sense. It's like, it's all over the place. It's close, huh? So why did they, I mean, I don't think that's ultimately the reason that the Fox movies started to not do well, you know, the Fox X-Men movies, because like they did just kind of fizzle out, especially Dark Phoenix, holy shit. But I guess you could make the argument that the continuity affected it. I don't really think that's what affected it, though. Like, I think you can do a shared universe with, like, a kind of whatever, choose-your-own-adventure version of the canon and still have it be very good and effective. But, yeah.
But film. I had Superman's death brought up, and it also featured Affleck, so it's connected to Batman v Superman, which is connected to Man of Steel. So I just see it as all being connected, even if they wipe stuff. It's going to make this messy universe even more of a mess, in my opinion.
Big time.
But again, we don't fully know what's happening with it, and those are just the rumors that are coming out. Hopefully, the next video I do will be a big announcement on the slate.
Yeah!
As these constant drama posts do kind of bog down the universe, I think, and I'd rather be delivering some good news instead of all this constant crap. Anyway, that's the end of the video, and obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts. We are in a competition right now, giving away Dawn of the Dead and Black.
Good video, Paul. Make sure you guys go subscribes to the Paul. Okay, now let's just kind of recap this shit, and then we'll talk about my predictions. And I definitely want to know what you guys predict as well. Okay, so here's the deal. As I've often said, the trades. Wait, what? New information? Oh, never mind. Got distracted by a post that had Hugh Jackman in it. You know. When I see that Hugh Jackman Wolverine, man, I stop what I'm thinking about. Okay, so let's get into this a little bit. So, as I've said before, the trades will oftentimes put out information and sort of judge the reaction to it, or rather, I think the studios are judging the reaction from the trades to sort of make decisions. It's just really weird how this happens. And I do think there are also sometimes competing camps within the Hollywood studio system that are leaking things with the intention of building a narrative. As for instance, apparently The Rock literally leaked some weird accounting information about Black Adam, which made Deadline, or gave Deadline the go-ahead to run with the fact that the movie is going to be profitable. And, like, make no mistake about it, and I don't even blame Rock for this, because, like, that's what that whole town does, but he sort of leaks that information, allegedly, to then have that narrative created to sort of combat another narrative out there. But when there are different powerful people within Hollywood that have different agendas, it feels like some of the stuff in the info comes out a little mismatched, right? So when it comes to this big story in Variety, a lot of it's talking about like The Rock, and a lot of it's talking about that. It talks a little bit about Ezra, and the whole Ezra thing is essentially just some people at Warner Brothers are open to working with Ezra. Ezra's been good, out of the headlines, getting help, and maybe that's a go. And then it talks about how Peter Safran and James Gunn are going to announce their 3-year plan, and that 3-year plan does not include Wonder Woman. Okay? Now, Gunn kind of comes out and says, no, Wonder Woman will be a part of the 3-year plan. We have an 8 to 10 year plan. But again, I think reading between the lines on what he's saying, they're going to announce a small part of a wider plan. A small part that likely coincides with the current contract that they have, which is fair. Like that's not a bad thing. Like that makes fucking sense. Okay. So they're going to come out at the end of this month. That's according to James. And they're going to give us some information about what the more or less 3-year plan for the DCU looks like. In the Variety article, they refer to it as, I think, a wide but not total reboot. It's like a robust reboot, but not complete reboot, right? And this has sort of left people to wonder if Zachary Levi, Gal Gadot, friggin' Jason Momoa, Aquaman, if these characters are returning, are they going to stay in the DCU, right? So that's kind of where we're at. And so now I'd like to do some predictions. I'd like to give you guys some predictions. And I'd like to hear your predictions as well about what James Gunn is going to announce soon. First prediction. He will not clear up whether or not it's a total reboot. That's my first prediction. Is that he will use specific language that will not tell us for certain whether or not it's a total reboot. And I kind of agree with Paul's logic here, because what I assume is this is partially done to protect the box office of all of these comic book movies. Now, this whole discussion, let's do a poll. Let me do a poll and then we linger on this, because this whole bit of the thing kind of triggers me. Do you agree that Gunn will keep it vague about total reboot? Or I guess what I should say is, do you agree that Gunn will keep it? Yeah, let's just do it like that. See what you guys think. Here's the thing that's weird about this, right? Because there's so much commentary online about these different things. And there was this group of people out there that were trying to say, it doesn't matter if there's a total reboot coming. You should go see Shazam just because it's a good comic book movie. And there were all these people that were saying it doesn't hurt the cachet of these movies because you should just go see good movies. Like, if you don't just go see good movies for the sake of seeing a good film, you're the problem. And there was this weird fucking attitude that started to come up on the internet where people were like, oh, bro, if you're the type of person that isn't going to watch the new DC movies next year because they might not fucking matter at all to the canon moving forward, then you suck. You're a part of it. Yeah, here's the fucking problem with that. That's not reality, dude. And if you think about the whole reason that Zaslav wants a shared fucking universe, you think about the whole reason, the whole point of all of this is to improve that part of the value proposition for all of the movies. The connective aspect to it is a massive fucking part of what matters. Why do you think Zachary Levi's talking about how he probably will be safe, and he even says in his video that people are getting concerned? Maybe my time's up. This, that, second, and the third. Why do you think Gunn is being very fucking vague about Ezra? Why do you think Gunn hasn't said shit about the Lobo shit with Momoa? I believe that they fully understand that if they come out and say this shit don't matter, a lot less fans are going to go see this stuff. Maybe you could argue that's not right. Maybe you could argue that's not fair. But we also just live in the real fucking world, and that is what it is. So my first prediction for the James Gunn announcement at the end of January is that he'll keep it super vague as far as if it's a total reboot or not. I also expect, and this isn't the prediction for this announcement in January, but I expect next year James Gunn will announce that it's a total reboot. Essentially, Or he'll announce like what it is. That next year we'll get a lot of clarity on this, because I think they're just basically going to wait for all these movies to run their course, keep it super vague while that's going on, and then essentially next year they'll pull the Band-Aid off. That's what I think. Okay? But as far as maybe SDCC next year, I think SDCC next year could be an incredible place to like really dig in with some details and like put us in for the new DCU slate, right? Here's my next prediction for January. And I think this one's actually a pretty safe bet. I think a lot of you will agree on this. By the way, 84% of you agree with me that he's going to keep it vague about reboot. Interesting. Do you think Gunn will announce new Superman movie as first in the new DCU? That's my next prediction, is that a James Gunn written, maybe directed, please God don't direct it, Superman movie will be announced in January, and that will be the first big movie in the DCU. Yeah. And so a couple of different reasons why. Number one, Gunn has already kind of hinted that Superman is maybe the top priority for the DCU. And if they can't get Superman to work, it's just probably not going to work. On top of that, I do feel like sort of ripping the Band-Aid off about the Cavill thing was done so that there could be some kind of time of mourning before new announcements come out about the new Superman movie. Okay? I also actually think, I've been thinking a lot about like this new Superman. And I don't think we're going to get any casting information about that. In fact, I think just in general in January, you're not going to get any creatives. This is actually a different one, but I'll touch on it here for a second. I don't think you'll get any attached creators, writers, directors, none of that. I don't think you'll get any attached actors. They're not going to announce the new Superman at the end of January. I don't think. But they will talk about how important Superman is. And I do actually believe that what they're going to do is focus on a younger Superman. And I do wonder if Gunn will like make that a part of the pitch, because on Twitter and like the thing he keeps saying is like, we're doing a younger Superman. That's why it can't be Henry Cavill. And I wonder if that's true. If it is true, like I think he'll sort of double down on that as sort of a shield against the blowback and talk about Superman at a younger stage in his life, the Superman of this DCU, right? Like I expect the language to be pretty careful around it. I also think when it comes to this Superman movie, they're going to try to start shooting it by the end of next year. That's what I think. I think they will try to start shooting, and maybe they won't like make it, but I think they'll try to start shooting the new Superman movie by the end of next year. I think they're going to streamline the shit out of that Superman movie. That's what I think. So I think that'll be like one of the big main announcements. I got to write these down, or I guess I can just come back to it later, because I want to see at the end of January how close I was for it. Okay. Third prediction. This one's a little bit more ballsy. Okay? I think James Gunn will announce multiple projects focused on the Lanterns. Okay? Multiple projects, not movies, because I think there's going to be TV shows as well. But let's hang on this one. By the way, this is a good way to win me back. I'll be like, Henry who? No, I'm just kidding. But for real. Henry who? Zach what? Henry Cavill as Green Lantern, he would never. He would never do that. For Frodo, hit me up in the DMs, but I don't know if I can really do that, brother. Sorry. I just got a busy life of like video games, playing with my Babu Frick toy, hanging out, eating food, stuff like that. So I'm really, really busy. Okay. Here's the deal. Let me explain why I think this happened. And this one is more controversial. Look, people are, pretty split on this one. Okay, let me explain why. I think one of the biggest things that's missing from modern DC comic book stories are the lanterns. If you read a lot of great DC stories from, I would say, the past 20 to 30 years, the Lantern Corps are an incredibly massive part of the lore and of a lot of the big events, the big events. And when I look at what's going on currently with DC, and one thing that you could sort of bring into new DC that would be very, very different is like a big emphasis on the lanterns. Could be Green Lanterns, could be, I guess, Red Lanterns, Sinestro Corps, Indigo Tribe, Blue Lanterns, Orange Lanterns. But I think you'll probably get something focused on maybe the Red Lanterns. And who's that crazy dude for the Red Lanterns? The A guy? Trev, help me out here, man. Who wrote most of those stories? You want me to say his name? You want me to fucking admit it? It was Jeff Johns. But also Grant Morrison. Grant Morrison wrote a lot of great stuff. Atrocitus. Yes, Atrocitus is an awesome character. Okay. So I think because they want to go big and do something cool cosmically. Lobo is a cosmic character, right? I think the Lantern Corps, brilliant way to start establishing things. It's also something that they can do without affecting pretty much the DCEU at all. They can do it early and it doesn't really matter as much, right? If, like what I mean is like if you do a Wonder Woman movie with the new Wonder Woman in 2 years, it kind of feels bad. But if you do a new Green Lantern movie, or you do a movie about the Guardians, or you do a television show about Atrocitus, yo, who's the Red Lantern that's the cat? Who's the fucking Red Lantern that's the cat? Because that character's awesome too. Who's the cat? Dexter. Yeah. Dexter's cool. So I think what you're gonna get are multiple Lantern projects. I think you might get a show, and I think you might get a movie. But I think that you're gonna get multiple Lantern projects, and this would be it would be really, really cool. It would be very different than I think a lot of what we currently have in the DCU. Next prediction. And we'll see how you guys feel about this one. I think you will get a new Batman DCU project announced. Now, again, let me be clear about this before you vote on it. I do not think he's going to be clear about who's playing Batman. But I do think he's going to be clear that this is the DCU Batman. And he wants, I think, a younger Batman to be with his younger Superman. Okay? And I think that's going to be key. Is we are going after a younger Batman who will be around the same age as our younger Superman. Okay? And I think he will talk about the DCU Batman, and I would assume a movie. Okay? I don't think it's going to be Matt Reeves, and I don't think it's going to be Pattinson, because apparently, from reports, Matt Reeves is like, hell no, bro. I'm not going to do all that crazy shit. So I'll be interested to see whether or not Gunn actually keeps the Matt Reeves stuff around, Maybe he lets it play out over the next couple of years, and then once like we really get into the thick of it, maybe he just like lets it drop off or something like that. But I think that he's gonna have a DCU Batman, and I think it's gonna be a younger Batman. No casting, but I do think that'll be one of the big projects that he announces. Okay, looks like a lot of you guys agree. Okay, next prediction. Next prediction. I think he will announce only one, maybe 2 films a year, which would put the total of movies at between 4 and 6. And I actually think it'll probably end up being 5. I actually think it'll end up being 5. But let me try to figure out how to word this. Okay, so the poll is, do you think Gunn will announce 1 to 2 movies a year for the start of the DCU? Here's sort of the logic and why I think this. I think that Gunn, especially after his experiences with Peacemaker, understands that you can do some really cool stuff via streaming or television. He's talked a lot about how he wants to leverage streaming or television as a part of the interconnected story for the DCU. He's even talked about video games. Video games, I think, are just way harder to produce on a timeline that make them very like easy to interconnect into movies and television. It's possible, but damn, that's a difficult one. Just games, depending on what you're trying to build, development can take like a decade, right? And that's not something they're looking to do. But I think when it comes to television, I think that he's going to lean into television over the beginning of the DCU a little bit more than obviously the initial Marvel did with Phase 1, 2, and 3, because they didn't really do television. So I think he's going to leverage television, and I think the amount of films, like I literally think the year that Superman movie comes out, it will be the only DCU movie that comes out. That's kind of what I think. So I think you might get the Superman movie one year, then I think the next year you might get 2, then the next year you might get 2. That's kind of what I think. What do you guys think? Yo, think about it, dog. I understand where you're coming from, but you're spamming the chat, bro. I'm going to take you out of here. Sorry. So, we're all in agreement on that one. Let's go to the last one here. Let's go to the last one. Here's the last one. The last poll of the day. Well, maybe not, but the last poll for this prediction. I think Gunn will announce a Justice League movie. Do you think James Gunn will announce a Justice League movie? I think in the January talk of the first part of the plan, he will make mention of a Justice League movie, which will see the DCU Justice League form up. Yeah, I think so. A lot of you guys don't think so. A lot of you guys say it's too soon, etc., etc. I think it's crucial to the success and the extension of the James Gunn DCU that they have a banger of a crossover comic book event film before the contract is over. So, of the first Avengers is like this crazy culmination of the Phase 1 movies. It was massive. It was huge. It propels Marvel to incredible heights. It's part of the reason why Disney even bought Marvel, right? So I don't think it's actually too soon, but I do think that they're going to sort of streamline this whole universe into a Justice League thing that might be more cosmic and involve the Lanterns. That's my prediction. And that's what I think they're going to do, man. And it's also like, if they can do just a couple of movies a year and keep them relatively cheap, then maybe for that Justice League movie, they blow their wad and they go pretty ham with it. You know? Super Friends movie? Bro, Super Friends movie ain't gonna... Hell no, bro. I'm sorry. Hell no. That's just not going to put butts in seats, bro. Like, you need hype. You need excitement. You need crazy leaks. And I hope that by the time the Justice League thing rolls around, Gunn is less about trying to correct the fucking record and let the speculators speculate, because you need speculation. You need people... you need kind of like the conversation we're having right now. That fuels speculation, it fuels hype, and it gets you sort of excited about what could possibly come. So, those are my predictions, man. And hopefully, in just a couple of weeks, we will see if I was correct or not. And that'll be fun. Because where the hell is love for Oliver Queen? I think they'll probably announce an Oliver Queen project. I just don't know that it would be a movie. How far do you think they will get in their plan before the initial contract runs out? Well, if it's a 3-year plan and they streamline the start to have it done in a year, then the last year runs right into the contract, basically. So I think that, that's the deal. They have a 4-year contract. They're currently, they're about to announce shit. You know what I mean? They're not going to announce everything, but they're about to announce shit. Right? So, yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. They're going to head towards their own version of Justice, or a Justice League movie. So, okay, should we just get into, will the CW stuff just go away? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, should we just get into Q&A? Should we just get into Q&A? Because there's actually some other really cool stories that I want to get into, but I feel like this is a big enough story and sort of a big enough thing that maybe it's time to just kind of linger on this. Maybe we should just get into some Q&A about this shit, huh? Let's just get into the Q&A, man. And also, the Tommy Dean. If you are watching, you won the $200 GameStop gift card. You got to hit me up. Otherwise, I'm going to give it to somebody else. Real talk. The Tommy Dean. Hit me up. Okay. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Why you do this to me? Why you do this to me? So I have an ultra wide... I got to complain about some first world problems for a second here, okay? So just buckle up and listen to me complain about first world problems. So I have an ultra wide monitor to my left, okay? I've got a normal monitor here with aspect ratio, incredibly high hertz for my high speed gaming over here. And then I've got an ultra wide monitor in case I want to do some RPGing or watch a cool movie or do something fun like that, okay? The problem with the ultra wide monitor is when I go to pull up the super chat thing, it puts the super chats all the way on the end of this ultra wide monitor. So I got to look all the way over here, or I try to shrink the thing down and then it crops some of the messages out and it's all bullshit and I can put it over here, but I hate putting it over here, but I'm going to put it over here. Okay, sorry guys. Just had to complain a little bit there. Tubular Tommy, first in today, says, next Gunn to green light Harcourt HBO Max series. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I don't think so. I actually hope, and I actually believe, that I know, my life is rough, Justin. They don't know, bro. Look at this dope Babu Frick, though. Come on, man. Look at that Babu Frick. Okay, so let's linger on this for a second. I actually think that Gunn might be receiving the message. How to think about it, dog? Get back in here. Or did you just make another account? Come on, bro. Look. I'm not even that big of a fan of James Gunn, but you can't be coming in here and fucking up the chat, brother. Come on, man. Come on. Just sit on your hands. Okay, we get it. I actually think, and maybe I'm just being stupid. Maybe I'm just being dummy. But I actually think that Gunn might actually be receiving some of this criticism, and I think he might understand that just keeping all of his toys and rebooting is going to look really bad. And I hope I hope that's what happens, because wow wee wah, are we gonna go into a total fan war if that happens? Yeah, how did he get back into the chat? Okay, Revival Fitness says with a $10 holla, dumb question, was there this much speculation and rumors before Endgame? I'm what you would call a normie, trying to embrace my inner nerd. Okay, so that's a great question, Revival. First of all, welcome. It's cool to unleash your inner nerd, bro. You know, embrace it, but also unleash it. Okay. So this is actually a really fun question, because I've been in the leak game, the spoiler game, for a long time. And yeah, frankly, it came out before Endgame. Now, one of the biggest franchises that had leaks was Game of Thrones. And bro, I will never forget reading in October the year before the leaks about the final season of Game of Thrones. Even the season before that had full ass leaks over a year before. And just being like, bro, no. And I remember going into that last episode and thinking about King Bran. And like, at the time I was working at the restaurant, and we would have these massive watch parties for Game of Thrones. And I loved it, man. We'd all come, and we had a nice house. I lived with like a bunch of people, but like we were like the house where the parties happened, where everybody chilled. We would do the watch parties and everything. And so it was Sunday, and I was working the shift in the morning, and everybody was so excited for the finale of Game of Thrones. Okay, like literally everybody, all my coworkers. And I was just a sour grape, bro. I was a puss in boots. I was like, And I remember this gal was like, why are you so bummed? You know, everybody's so excited. And I was like, I read this thing that leaked, and it's the worst possible ending for the show. And if it happens, I don't know how I will react. And then like hours later, we're watching the show, and after the King Bran shit, she looks at me from across the room and she was like, was that what you were talking about? And I was like, yeah, it was. So to answer your question, yeah, leaks and rumors have been around since then. And when it came to Game of Thrones, they were a huge part of that fandom. But I think that after Endgame, which there were full-ass leaks for Endgame, like the month before. And I remember thinking like, dude, Professor Hulk, what the fuck is this? Fat Thor? No! But then I ended up actually liking it in the movie theater, right? But I do think like that around that time, more people became aware of the leaks, and there started to be some like really reliable people. And then like right after Endgame, we got the episode 9 leaks, which again were so crazy. Yo, how many of y'all remember when the Burger King commercial in the Netherlands spoiled the rise of Skywalker? Can we find this? I want to find this video. Do you guys remember this? Anybody? Jedi Praxis might ring a bell. Is this thing still open here? Oh, we've got to watch this shit. Okay, so, and by the way, there's actually a really funny, there's like a lot to this actually, okay? Because I remember one of my videos that I talked about the leaks, the Jedi Praxis leaks, hit like 1 million views. And that video was actually what put me on Mark Fernandez's radar, which caused me to go on Rule of Two with him and Mark Riley. And then a year later, that would be the catalyst by which I met Theory, because Mark introduced me to Theory to take over for him for Rule of Two. So I remember covering the shit out of this. And at this point, the Jedi Praxis leaks, we knew up and down. They leaked way too soon. I think John Boyega and JJ leaked them on purpose to sort of soften the blow of the absolute fucking ridiculous mess of a movie that they were about to unleash upon us. But this is a commercial, an absolutely real commercial that was in the Netherlands And they use the leaks in this commercial. Just check this out. If you've never seen this, this is amazing. This was way before the movie came out. Or at least a couple months before, I think.
Also wirklich richtig. Wir freuen uns sehr auf den neuen Film.
Sind Fans bereit, ihren Lieblingsfilm zu
Are
spoilern?
fans willing to spoil their favorite movie for a
versucht.
free meal at Burger King? That's the whole thing. Are fans willing to spoil their favorite movie for a free Burger King meal? I've been avoiding spoilers all year long, the guy says.
Über die Runden zu kommen.
Leute, sorry, können nicht bringen.
Sorry, you can't do that.
Also je mehr ich bestelle,
The
desto
more
mehr
I
weiß ich,
order, the
das
more I
auch
get to
das
know.
ist schwierig.
That's tough.
Okay.
Oh no.
Okay, what? Ich hätte gerne einen Whopper. Meinst du,
The young villain turns to the bright side meal.
Der junge Bösewicht wechselt zur hellen Seite, nachdem ihn
After being defeated by the young sword lady. Whopper. Wait, what?
Seite, nachdem ihn die junge Schwertfrau besiegt hat, Wopper?
Den meine ich.
The death of the young sword lady's parents was ordered
Wurden im Auftrag des alten Kapuzenbösewichts
by the old hoodie villain. Coca-Cola meal.
getötet, Coca-Cola.
Nein, da steht auch was! Einmal die junge
The young sword lady
Schwertfrau
is
ist
the
die Enkelin
grandchild
des alten Kapuzenbösen-
of the old hoodie villain. This is in a fucking Burger King commercial, bro.
Bösewichtsmenü.
The blonde general is killed for freeing the prisoners. He's talking about Hux. I'm the spy.
Darf's noch ein Getränk
Would you like a drink?
Sorry, das keinen Namen hat.
Oh, komm schon.
It's on the fry. The young villain dies.
Stirbt.
Oh Gott, hier steht auch.
God, there's one on here on the straw.
Alles, was du gelesen
Just forget everything you just read.
Und noch einmal das harte Gebrüll.
The hairy, roaring creature is accidentally killed by the young sword lady, but actually survives. Bro, what? What the fuck? Burger King! What is you doing?
Getötet, doch überlebt Onion Rings.
Hey, thanks, enjoy your meal. Jesus, man. I'll never forget that. That was peak. That was peak time on the Star Wars spoilers subreddit. Oh my God, what a time to be alive. So yeah, that came out before the fucking movie. Anyway. All right, let's keep going on these Q&A. Sorry, I had to take a little trip down memory lane. Okay, Nevins27 says, on holiday, so I can stay up for the stream. 3 a.m. here, became a member in 2022, and this community got me through a hard year, and I'm forever grateful. Thank you, Nevins. I appreciate that, man. I'm glad you're able to catch the stream, man. Diamond Joe says, 16 months. Hey, yo! Happy New Year's, Josh and Nerd Vengers. What movie and show are you looking forward to most this year? Ahsoka. Ahsoka's number one. But I'm actually low-key getting a little hyped up for Quantum Mania. And I've got another video coming out about Secret Wars probably over the weekend. I think Quantum Mania could actually have a chance to be fucking incredible, bro. Anybody else starting to get just a little hype for Quantum Mania? Anybody? Anybody else just getting a little hype for Quantum Mania? Getting a little excited? You're holding yourself back? Kendall, I hear you, bro. Dude, I feel like you and I have been on a lot of the same journey. I mean, of course, we're all nerd vengers at the end of the day. But, dude, the journey that has been Marvel has left me at a place where I don't want to be too excited. I don't want to think I'm going in to watch the next Winter Soldier or Infinity War or whatever. I don't want to go in thinking that, but I also so desperately want that to happen. I want to have my fucking hair blown back, bro. I want to go in there and be like, God damn, MCU's back. Which, by the way, I didn't feel that in Wakanda Forever. Wakanda Forever is a fine film, but it didn't give me that feeling of like, bro, fuck yeah. And I'm kind of a little bit. I think Quantum Mania could could do it. Maybe. We'll see. Jay the Gray, welcome to the Nerdvengers, man. You are a Nerdvenger now. Make your way around the tower. Jacoby One Kenobi, welcome to the Nerdvengers. You are a Nerdvenger now. Caleb Senpai, welcome back. Mo from the Foe says, what's up, good brother? Haven't made a stream because of work, but I just finished volume 1 and 2 of Keanu Reeves' how do you say that? Blitzkrieg comic? Highly recommend. How's Godson? Oh, he's good, man. He's good. He's getting so big, and he's at this stage, man, where he needs attention. And it's almost impossible to get work done when he's around. Because now, like, he doesn't even want you looking at your phone. He doesn't want you looking at a book. He doesn't want you looking at the laptop. Berserker. Okay, cool. He wants you looking at him and playing with him. My love for you is like something berserker. Dun 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 berserker. Isn't that the guys that did the Duhast song? Yeah, I know. So Liam's super needy, but he's good, bro. And I'll have to read Berserker. Captain Ziggit says, I turned 31 today. Just wanted to say it's been a fun almost 2 years watching the channel. Your morning streams entertain me at work every day. Nerdvengers for life. Hey, I really appreciate that, man. And happy freaking birthday. Can we get some happy birthday love in the chat for Captain ZGT? I always pronounce it as Captain Ziggit. Yeah. But a happy birthday to you, brother. Mo from the Foe says, any plans on watching old BET Black Panther show on Saturday streams? 'Twas a classic. Dude, you know what's wild about that show? John Schnepp worked on that show. John Schnepp helped that show come to life. And yeah, I'd love to watch it. There's a dope episode where Captain America gets his ass kicked by T'Chaka, I believe. And I would love to watch that. Where do I find it, though? I don't even know where to find that show, honestly. Dr. Cool, member for 20 months, says, Gunn doesn't know about Ezra Miller's actions, but he is 100% sure Josh lives in his mom's basement. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He's very selective with the things he knows. You know what I mean? He must look at Twitter threads and there's a blur. Anything that mentions Ezra and all the debauchery is blurred out to him or something. Or he's like, it doesn't look like anything to me. He's like a Westworld world bot. Colton Shutt, welcome back to the Nerdvengers. Brendan DeLumpa, 10 spot, says, if DC gets rid of Ezra, they will have the wrath of a certain group of people on their hands. I don't know if that's true, actually. Regardless of where you stand on the political line, I think this is undeniable. Do you guys agree with that? I could be wrong, but I think a lot of people, I think you're referring to probably, I think you're broadly speaking of the left. You're probably speaking of like LGBT, I don't know, I guess activists or just people that kind of stuff really, really matters to them. I gotta be honest with you though, bro. I think there are a ton of people on the left. I think there are a ton of people in that community that also agree that Ezra's horrible. Like, it's one thing to say respect Ezra's pronouns. That just because you want to respect Ezra's pronouns doesn't necessarily mean that you think this is an outstanding citizen of the world. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's a lot of you guys think so, huh? I think they, them. I think that's what Ezra prefers to be called, is they, them. Poor Ezra is just misunderstood. I mean, I don't know about that. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I understand the sort of notion that Brendan has. I don't know that I agree that there's actually a large group of folks out there that are going to be pro-Ezra. In fact, weirdly enough, some of the people that are the most pro-Ezra are just Snyder people. Like, there's this dude I've argued with on Twitter about this shit before. This dude is not, from what I can tell, not left-leaning at all. It's more about just the Snyder stuff. You know what I mean? So, Nevins27 with a 10 spot says, honestly, I'm not against people redeeming themselves and being better. If Ezra can be better and come back eventually as a better man, like RDJ, then great. But his actions right now need consequences. Yeah, I agree. And I think, it's funny because, like, I personally think Ezra has probably done, in my mind, some of the most egregious, like, crazy things that I've ever had to report about. On top of that, there's this whole really weird side of it with like, you know, the young people and like, what is he actually having like some kind of a cult or something, right? There's like this really weird undertone, I think, to a lot of the Ezra stuff. I'm definitely no fan of Ezra, but I'm also not a person that's like, oh, this other human being that has made a series of mistakes and misjudgments is horrible and needs to go away forever. Like, no, I actually think, yeah, Ezra could absolutely completely be redeemed. And by the way, I think in a real hero's journey kind of way, if Ezra was able to walk into some horrible, hellish place and then come out of it, it is possible that he comes back to us with some kind of wisdom or lesson that could help other folks to avoid going to that place. I'm a person that thinks that every human being is capable of incredibly good things and incredibly horrible things. The capacity for great evil and great good exists in every single human being. I'm not that much different than a person that has done horrible things. And sometimes that's a weird thing to contemplate, but I generally think it's true. So yeah, I'm not a person here that's like, oh, Ezra should be gone forever. You know what I mean? The redemption would be great. Hider 700 says, I am a little worried that Sabine isn't in the Ahsoka leaks. I hope she's not just a side character. She even has Ezra's saber she has to go with. I think she's going to be there. I think Ezra's going to be there. And I think Ahsoka's going to be there. It's even possible that they all get together more quickly than we maybe thought. We'll see. Unknown Nintendo says, finally reached Diamond. Thanks for the hours and hours of entertainment every day, Josh. Can't wait for the next Diamond Lounge stream. Oh, hell yeah, man. That'll be a good time. We'll crack some bottles. Pop a bottle. Lee says, rewinding to watch from the beginning. Enjoy your weekend, Josh. Thanks, Lee. I really appreciate it, brother. I think I'll have a good weekend. I'm going to try to get out to the HeroClix tournament, roll some dice. Got some work to do on videos and stuff, but should be a good weekend. Nico James says, do you think if Disney buys DC, also give me Howard the Duck? No, I don't think Disney would buy DC. If anybody's going to buy them, it will be Universal in 2024. C-Dub says, if Gunn goes the way of the MCU, what villain would be the first Thanos-level big bad? You know who I would do? You know who I would do as the villain of the first Justice League film? I would do Sinestro and the Sinestro Corps. I would do Sinestro and the Sinestro Corps. Or you do Sinestro Corps leading into like Anti-Monitor. That's what I would do. Yeah, like kind of like Sinestro, kind of like taking Sinestro Corps War and combining it with the Justice League. Doing like a Justice League thing, but where the Justice League are actually going to help like the Guardians or the Corps or something like that. And I guess it would kind of depend on how they develop. Because like Gunn, for instance, like Gunn is saying it's not an origin with Superman and he's going to already know these different characters. Well, I guess the question is, has Sinestro already left the Corps? Is Hal already established as the Lantern of this sector? So that's the way that I would go with it. Or like, you know, go into Anti-Monitor stuff. Or like, you don't want it to be like quite Crisis level, I guess. So I guess you could do Necron, I guess, but that gets pretty Crisis-y in my opinion as well. I just honestly, as much as I love Darkseid, I don't think you can do Darkseid again. I think you need to do something different. So, yeah. Yeah, that's what I would do. Okay, so Caleb says, 1 month of being a nerd Avenger. Love the content. Keep up the work, Josh. Always a good getaway during hard times. Much love. Appreciate you, brother. I really do. Thank you. The talented Mr. Griffin with a 5 spot says, will DC learn from Marvel's mistakes and not kill every villain? Well, I hope so, because the villains in DC are fantastic, dude. And, Forever Evil, which is a comic that I have signed by Jeff Johns that freaking Trev sent me, because he's always trying to get me to give Jeff Johns love. I think, that story's awesome. I love the Crime Syndicate, and I think they're great, of course, in Crisis, but just in general, they're really good. So, villains are great. You've got Lex Luthor, Vandal Savage, Sinestro, Darkseid, even like Deathstroke, Ra's al Ghul. These are awesome characters, dude. DC has great villains. Representative Binks says, where did you get that insane Babu Frick figure? I want one. We found it in a bookstore. We were in a bookstore, and it was randomly there, and I was like, yo, I'll take that. Cole Corporate says, what's the DC slate predictions? I'm going with Superman, Green Lantern for show, and everything else seems up in the air. Yeah, I would say Green Lantern, Superman, Batman, and I do think they're going to do a Justice League movie or some kind of like crossover event film. There could be another movie in there. I kind of only think you're going to get 5 movies, though. Now, you'll get some other shows, and I think the shows will help build things up to the films, but I really don't think you'll get more than 1 or 2 shows a year. You know what I mean? That's what I think. What's up, Nick? Yeah. Okay, next question. Captain Lou says, I always thought DC should introduce the Lanterns first and then the rest of the Earth heroes and connect them all in a Justice League movie. Yeah, I agree. I think the Lanterns are incredibly important for how this is all going to go. That's, and I hope that James taps into that. It would be bold. There's not a lot of history of the Lantern stuff doing really well outside of comics. I think maybe the most successful show was like the old Emerald Knights show, the Green Lantern Emerald Knights, which was fantastic. But for whatever reason, Lanterns have had a hard time existing in modern pop culture stuff. And I don't really know why, because they're massive in the comics. Like the Lanterns in the comics, especially since the time that Jeff Johns started the Emotional Spectrum and like started really digging into like that lore and stuff like that, and like, the White Lantern source wall kind of, it's ever since then, I feel like Lanterns have been really important to DC overall. Tyler J says, if we get crazy cosmic stuff, let's allow villains like Clayface and Man-Bat to get the spotlight. Bored of Joker, get Poison Ivy, Larfreeze, Parasite. Yeah, dude, I agree. I think that shit could be really, really cool. Man-Bat, huh? Man-Bat would be kind of fun. Kyle TK says, I need all the Lanterns. Do you think Pattinson could be the stoic leader of the Justice League that dealing with the galaxy and what's going on in it? No, I don't really think so, man. I don't really think so. And I kind of do believe that they're going to go away. Like, if the Matt Reeves stuff stays, it's going to be Matt Reeves stuff, and it's just going to be on its own. I don't think that's going to be your Batman. That's not going to be a Justice League Batman. So they're going to go, you know what they're going to do? Probably is they're going to go for young unknowns, bro. They're going to try to scoop up some young, like Jack to the gills, jawline like an anvil young dude for Clark. And they're going to go with like this sort of darker, but also probably Jack to the gills dude for Bruce. They'll go with young unknowns and they'll lock them in for a massive contract. Because, like, you don't want to pay buku bucks. And so, therefore, like, going with the unknowns is probably the way to go. Jay the Gray, again, thank you and welcome to the Nerd Avengers. Amber, what's up? Says, haven't been able to catch streams due to work, but I still wanted to try and stop by and show love. Happy New Year's, Josh, and how about them Steelers? I know, Amber, let's go. So what do we need? We need the Dolphins to lose, we need the Patriots to lose, and we need to beat the Browns. I mean, beating the Browns, that's easy peasy. Been doing that for 50 years. Dolphins, gonna need you to fuck that up. Patriots, I'm going to need you to fuck that up. Let's go! Oh, man, I'm excited. If they get into the playoffs, I will certainly watch all the playoff games, which, let's be real, will probably just be one game. The Exodus with the 5 spot says, I never see anyone talking about how the Celestials created the Beyonders to be stewards over the multiverse. That's how they tie into all of that. Well, as somebody who's literally just been deep diving on cosmic shit for like the past 4 months, but like I'm really diving in on the Celestial stuff, I don't actually know that is ever fully established in comics. I do know that, like, dude, there have been so many different interpretations of things. Like, for instance, there was this dying Celestial that showed up on Earth one time and basically puked out its guts when it was dying of this, like, celestial disease. And there was a comic book that essentially tried to say that that's where the X genes come from. And that's where early man comes from, is like this primordial vomit from a Celestial. Well, that gets retconned in a couple of different ways, but most recently in Avengers 1,000,000 BC, when there is already a mutant host of the Phoenix Force that's fighting against that very Celestial as it comes to Earth. So when it comes to cosmic stuff, and especially like Beyonders, Molecule Man, stuff like that, there have been a ton of different retcons. It is, of course, possible that Feige is going to sort of do that and take that thread and go with it. But, yeah. And also, the Exodus, can you let me know, like, and you can hit me up on Twitter about this, too. Just let me know, what comic are you pulling that from? Because I'd love, if I'm wrong, I want to be correct. You know what I mean? Jaboy G says, much love, Josh. I agree with Paul that Gunn/Warner Brothers still need to make money this year. So I feel like they'll dance around the reboot until Aquaman 2 comes out. Yeah, man. Yeah, I believe so as well. Angel Stark says, almost a whole year. Nerd Venging sure flies by real quick. Much love. Bad Batch already more fun than Andor. Let's go. Yeah, I agree with that. I like the Bad Batch a lot. I'm also like a little bit concerned as to why Bad Batch is not being talked about more. Bad Batch is not, like, I just don't see a lot of hype for Bad Batch, which is a little unfortunate. But yeah, I watched the 2 episodes last night. I thought they were good. They weren't crazy good, but they were good, bro. And that's Star Wars. Like, you know what I mean? I also kind of just don't like that Dave's not writing and directing as much anymore. Like, anyway, he's busy. Vandolph the Black says, would love to see him establish a Chad villain like Lex Luthor. I mean, honestly, he's the Doctor Doom of DC, and Jesse didn't bring it home. Yeah, I agree. Luthor needs to be jacked, brilliant, intimidating, articulate. Like, Lex Luthor is one of the most important characters for doing DC right. And I loved the shit where, like, he got that one mother box to create armor for him. And he, like, this was during, like, Tomasi's Superman stuff, where Luthor became Superman for a while, protecting Metropolis. Luthor goes on the Justice League. This is all falling out of Forever Evil and stuff. Dude, I loved that shit, man. I loved that shit, bruh. So, yeah, they need a great Lex Luthor. Ironically, the day that James Gunn and I got in the little, like, Twitter beef or whatever, earlier that day, I actually was posting about Lex Luthor and how they needed a great Lex Luthor. You know what I mean? Claytonium says, I hope to see Bryan Cranston as Lex Luthor. Maybe, but he'd have to get on gear and get jacked to the gills. So I don't know if he's down. Nico James says, first villain has been established. It's Gunn. Ah, shit. Here we go again. Maybe. Yet to be determined. PJ says, Josh, who's your pick for the new Batman or Superman in Gunn's universe? I don't really have picks, man. I'm not good at that kind of shit. And also, I don't think it's worth doing picks right now because I think they're going to find unknowns. Like, I don't know if it's anybody out there right now that's kind of like on our radar. I don't feel like that's going to be the person. I feel like it's going to be a completely unknown person. So. Yeah. Okay, so let's hang in the chat, man. What do you guys think of the DC stuff? What else do you want to talk about? What are we doing? What are we talking about? What's going on? What are we doing? What are we talking about? I'll hang out for like 10 more minutes. Then I got to get out of here because I'm hungry. Parker Gonzo says, who of the Bad Batch could you see dying this season? Wrecker, probably. If Steelers don't make the playoffs, who you rooting for? Skull Vikes and prayers to Damar Hamlin's continued recovery. Yeah, absolutely. Prayers going out to him for sure. I don't know who I'll root for. Yeah, I don't really know. I usually do root for the AFC North teams. Who's getting into the playoffs on the? Who's clinched in the NFC? Somebody help me out. Who clinched in the NFC? '49ers? I'd root for the 49ers. I gotta root for the Eagles. I'm rooting for the Eagles all day, bro. I lived in Philly for like 6 years. All about the Eagles, bruh. I like the Niners. I like the Eagles. Michael Rooker as Lex Luthor, maybe if he got a little more jacked. NHL guy, not necessarily. I mean, I root for the Pens, of course. When I was in college, I watched a lot more hockey, man. Those were the days when Crosby was like just getting into the league. Those were the days. You can kill a lantern with a number 2 pencil. Hey, don't say that. Any chance of the young Soups ends up being Jonathan Kent? I don't think so. I don't really think so. Oh, you really like the theories from yesterday? I appreciate that, Kendall. I appreciate that. I have some more insight and some more stuff I'm going to put into the next video too. It's funny, like I was actually talking to Paul about the thing he tweeted about yesterday before he tweeted it. And yeah, he's right. He's right. I think that's exactly what they're going to do in Secret Wars. And this brings up so many cool things that we can speculate about too. But yeah, Paul's right. And Paul has good sources. Paul thinks, by the way, that the Kang Beyonder is going to be the Kang from Quantumania, and that this Beyonder stuff is being overplayed a little bit. Which is possible, and maybe I'm just overplaying it, and maybe I'm like, what the fuck? And it's not really going to be the Beyonder. But here's the thing. Here's the take. If you're using the Beyonder in name only, you're fucking up because his name is the worst part of him. His name is stupid as fuck. It's his powers. It's where he comes from. It's all these other things that are awesome about the Beyonder. The Beyonder is lame as hell. Kang the Conqueror is a cooler name. Immortus is a cooler name. Fucking Iron Lad is a cooler name. And Iron Lad is not a cool name. The Beyonder? Ugh. Ugh. Hate it. Just wait for Terra Mana posters everywhere in your XFL game now that The Rock owns it. I mean, probably. Fuck, I would too. I think Rock's power play hurt what little chance Cavill had to return to Superman. Seems Cavill changing reps seems like that relationship was damaged. The reports say he changed reps before all of that shit happened, actually. And Danny Garcia is still an advisor to him, but he just got different management. And I don't really fully understand all that, but yeah. When did we get Condiment Man? I don't know. Oh, sorry, I missed the Superman. Okay, Mo from the Foe says, the Beyonder thing was established in the latest Defenders Beyond run. Still not crazy about the idea. Okay, well, maybe I'll check that out. 831 Red says, $5 for the 49ers love. Let's go Niners. Yeah, I like the Niners a lot. Mostly just because I had a friend in high school that rooted for the Niners a lot. One of my good buddies, Lev. And then also Dr. Disrespect always roots for the Niners and stuff. So, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Condiment Man definitely in Peacemaker League. Oh, Jesus. How does this sound? Armie Hammer as Batman, Dylan O'Brien as Nightwing, Jamie Dornan as Green Arrow. Yeah, I like all of that, except Armie Hammer is, like, I guess a proven cannibal or some shit. Like, I don't know what the deal is, but Armie Hammer is a big no-no. That shit ain't happening. Rob is covering Defenders Beyond right now. Let's go. If I wasn't so starving, I would throw on one of the vids right now and we would watch it. Yeah, cannibal. Dude, just look it up. Just look it up. It's fucking disturbing. It's real weird. Rob Burnett? No. Rob from Comics Explain. Is that real or an internet rumor? It is real enough that Armie Hammer is now working at like a call center in some other developing country. I don't know if it's fucking real. It's real enough that he ain't getting no more work. Joe Albanese says, do you think James Gunn would ever touch Watchmen? Wow, wouldn't that be bold? I mean, maybe. The problem is, and here's the thing. You can't never say never with James Gunn. The guy's got fucking balls, okay? He's got cojones. But the problem with touching Watchmen is you've now touched Alan Moore, pause, and Zack Snyder. And now you're going to be compared. And yeah, that's a lot of smoke. That's a lot of smoke. Mm-hmm. You've never heard of the Arnie thing? Really? Y'all didn't know about the Arnie Hammer? Yeah. Yeah, he's like a Soylent Green movie. Or some shit. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. The more I looked into it, the more I was like, this feels gross. All right, everybody. All right, everybody. I guess we'll see you later, everybody. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for being here. I had a good time just kind of getting up to speed and talking about the DC stuff. We'll see how the predictions I had go when hopefully in a couple of weeks they actually make the announcement. Tomorrow, we'll do a stream in the morning, gambling. We'll do call-ins. We'll do a Prime stream tomorrow. And Saturday morning, we're watching some Star Wars Rebels in the tower. If you are a Nerdventure member, come on by 10 a.m. Saturday morning. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Oh man, it's a good one. You know, despite everything, this is actually the most interested and potentially the most excited I've been about DC in a long time. You know? I really hope that Gunn actually crushes this, because I would love to be excited about DC again. I would. But I also can't deny these are dangerous waters they are trying to navigate. So we'll call it like we see it. We'll get some more updates soon, and hopefully we get those lanterns, baby. Let's go. Make sure you open up your third eye. Wash out your brown eye. Drink the water. Get the sunshine. Get the exercise. Make sure you're sleeping enough. You know? Maybe touch some grass. Call your mom. Call your mom. Tell her you love her.